It's almost fall, and you know what that means. Cooler weather, and I immediately want to curl up and light a pumpkin spice candle because that just makes my house super cozy and super fall.
Oh my gosh, yes. I love fall, and I love to embrace all of the fall things. And when it's time to embrace the season and make everything cozy, I'm looking on Wayfair.
I just got the cutest chunky knit throw from there, and now my bed is Pinterest perfect.
That's what I love. Wayfair's got cozy covered in every room. Whether it's new bedding, kitchen gear, or just a fun fall doormat, they've curated everything. And delivery free, even the big stuff.
So if you want your home to feel as good as your favorite sweater, now's the time to go and get cozy.
Cozify your space with Wayfair's curated collection of easy, affordable fall updates. From comfy recliners to cozy bedding and autumn decor. Find it all for way less at wayfair.com. That's Wayfair, WAYFAIR.com. Wayfair, every style, every home. Welcome to the No Guilt Mom podcast. I am your host, Joanne Crone, joined here by the brilliant Brie Tucker.
Why, hello, buddy. How are you?
We are right in the middle of back to school for most of the East Coast right now in the US. Brie and I were just talking that our kids started school July 16th. So we've had a few months to get up to this point right here. But something that comes up a lot in our coaching sessions, in our balance membership, is this: what do you do when your kids are refusing to go to school?
Ugh.
We hear this a lot, right, Brie?
Yeah, it can be a real difficult task. I mean, there's a point where you can't drag your kid out of bed and throw them in their car seat and be like, you're going to school.
And they're absolutely miserable too.
Yeah.
You also see that as a mom and you're like, oh my gosh, I have all the guilt. Am I ruining my child for life? Am I basically needing to pay for their future therapy?
Right. And I think honestly, it is a harder one to tackle. That is not as easy of a task to find because the root of the cause, it's very nuanced for each kid.
It is. And that is what we're talking about today. So just to make sure you're in the right place, if you're new to the No Guilt Mom podcast, this is for moms who feel overwhelmed, underappreciated, and stuck managing everything for their families. We want you to know that you are not alone. And every single episode, we promise that you'll walk away with doable strategies to reclaim your time, energy, and joy. And in this episode, you are going to be able to figure out what may be the reasons behind your kids' school refusal. And to help us do that is going to be Alyssa Campbell. She is the CEO and founder of Seed and Sow and a globally recognized expert in emotional development. She co-created and researched the collaborative emotion processing method, transforming how adults support children's emotions. Her best-selling book, Tiny Humans, Big Emotions, shares this research. And her second book, which I have right here. Oh, look, we both have it. We're ready. Big Kids, Bigger Feelings debuts today. Alyssa hosts the Voices of Your Village podcast. It has been featured in the Washington Post, CNBC, NBC, and Vermont Public. And with that, let's get on with the show. Welcome to the show, Alyssa. We are so excited to have you here and talk all things school refusal and, of course, about your new book.
Thank you for having me. I'm stoked to be here to hang with you.
Yeah, we're both on separate sides of the country. So, when do your kids start school?
Ready for this action? Labor Day. Right after Labor Day. Some schools, the week before Labor Day.
Oh,
Yeah.
I was telling Joanne.
That's a long.
Yeah, I grew up in the Midwest. I grew up in Kansas City, and we always started the day after Labor Day. In my senior year, my district went rogue, and we started September 1st, which meant I had a whole 2 days before
That
it
is
was
going
Labor Day that week.
rogue.
How dare they?
It was crazy. And there were people that didn't come to school for the first 2 days that were protesting it. Now, granted, this was back in 97. But
I was going to say, though, I would have been one of those people, I think. I very much am tell me more about why this boundary exists and I'll decide if I'm going to follow it.
Yes.
You and Joanne are going to be best friends. I swear.
I'm I'm sorry. Are you telling me what to do? Why are you telling me what to do? And what is all the reasoning behind it? Because I need to make up my own mind if I'm going to listen to you or not.
So if they were just come to school earlier, I'd be like, oh, no, thank you.
No, exactly.
Hard pass.
Yeah.
It's so interesting with school. And I love that your new book deals with bigger kids and bigger feelings because so often we hear about the little ones and controlling their
Mhm.
emotions. But big kids have these feelings and emotions too. And the way I know that I was raised in the 90s and 80s is that we were just told to suck it up and deal with it.
Mhm. You didn't actually have those emotions.
No, apparently not. We didn't have them. It just wasn't there. Kids are different these days. They're not, guys. If you can't hear my sarcasm, they're not different. We're just more aware now of what emotions are doing with kids, and especially in the part of school and refusal to
Mhm.
go to school. Alyssa, like, what have you seen? What does it look like when a kid is refusing to go to school? What are some of the emotions parents see? What are
Yeah.
some of the behaviors parents might see?
Yeah. So my favorite, like, just parenting strategy in general is curiosity. That if we can just slow our own roll, because it's usually just us getting in the way of our own curiosity. Where if I have a kid who's navigating school refusal, I'm like, oh my God, he's going to fail. Or they're
Yeah.
going to call the cops on me. He's got to go to school a certain amount of days, or he doesn't want to go to school. He's going to miss all this homework. And then what's going to happen next? And all of a sudden, he like is living in my basement and he's 28 and has no life. And I've been arrested. And it is
And
a
I've been
very
arrested.
different.
Why did you get arrested in this scenario?
He didn't go to school and I wasn't like,
You got arrested for truancy.
that's right. And so, like, so easy to jump ahead. And when we can slow
That's
our
me.
roll, same. We recently had a whole thing, and my son is 4. And in my head, he was 16 and had no friends and not invited to anything. And my husband's response was like, totally, that might be the case. But today he's 4. So
I love those people that can help you like when you're going down the spiral. The people that can be like, here's your like life preserver. I'm going to pull you back in.
that's it.
Pull you
And so
back
when
in.
we're looking at school refusal, our greatest asset is going to be curiosity. So if
Mhm.
we can for ourselves notice that like flood of fear and jumping to our own anxiety and just pull back and remind ourselves this is not an emergency and we are going to figure this out and slow down, then we can start to get curious. Because what we're going to see on the surface is going to look often like defiance a lot of the time, where they're like, no, I'm not going.
Mhm.
Maybe, depending on the age, slamming doors, rolling their eyes at you, swearing at you. They might just be like hiding, right? Like going off into their room, or make me go to school would have been a very Alyssa line. And so looking at this, it often shows up in the way of defiance. And what we know to be true about defiance is that it's a sign of dysregulation. It
Mm.
means that you're not in a regulated state. You don't have access to your whole brain. And anytime we see dysregulation and we can get curious, then we can learn about what's going to help solve this for them, what's going to help bring them back into a regulated state so that we can navigate the world, including going to school.
This is such an important point to keep in mind because as parents, a lot of time our own emotions can go out of control. When we see this defiance, we're like, oh my gosh, we need to stop this defiance right now. And we come down even harder on the child, like giving consequences. I've seen taken away screen time, which only exacerbates the issue and makes it worse. And in our own mind, we're getting angrier and more likely to blow up and make this a bigger situation than it needs to be. So first, noticing that defiance, it may be one of the signals that your child is not wanting to go to school. In your book, Alyssa, you talk about 4 main scenarios, and I want to take the audience through these main scenarios about possible reasons behind it. And so let's start from like early age all the way up because you describe a kindergarten situation where the mom has just prepped her child for kindergarten. And yet on the first day, there are still these hard emotions.
Yeah. Yeah. You do all the prep in the world. And I think we have this idea, I think we're sold it from a social media lens, that if we do all the right things, things are going to be easier.
Mhm.
And if you say the right words, if your
Yeah.
tone and body language are right, if I organize this activity or I lay out this feast for you in the correct
Mhm.
way with shaped sandwiches and whatever, then they're going to be like, you know what, mom, thank you so much. This is my favorite lunch I've ever had, right? It's going to go smoothly if we do all the right things. And what is actually true is that prep part of this is meant to help the brain start to feel safer. So if
Mhm.
you imagine yourself, and I was like, all right, ladies, you're going to start a new job on Monday, and I'll drive you there and then I'll pick you up. And I give you nothing else.
That's a little anxiety provoking.
I had a job like that once.
Had past tense because like
Had.
no thank you. Like it is for your brain says, wait, I need so much more information. What's going to happen there? Will I have lunch? Who am I going to be around? What's expected of me? Am I supposed to wear certain things? Like all of the missing information spirals into anxiety as your brain tries to make sure that it can keep you safe. And so when we're
Mm.
looking at prep, what we're really doing is saying, I'm going to give you some information so that you know what to expect a little bit here,
Mhm.
so that you can start to feel safer in this space. It doesn't mean I'm going to give you all this prep so that then you're like, okay, I know exactly what to expect. I'm not scared at all about meeting these new people or doing this new thing for the first time in my life. And see you later, mom. See you at pickup.
So what I'm hearing is our expectations might be a little off as to what we are accomplishing as parents when we are quote unquote prepping our kids for kindergarten.
That's right. And I think it actually comes back to our fear of their hard emotion that we're like,
Yeah.
if I
Oh,
do all of this,
totally.
they won't have a hard time.
Oh, I can't stand hard emotions. Joanne will tell you, like, if it's like water in the Wicked Witch for me, like someone starts crying and I'm like, stop. What do I
That's
need to
true.
do?
That's
Let
true.
me
Yeah.
save you. And so I think that's really what we often are seeing here is I don't want to be around your hard emotion because that's hard for me. It's if there's a world in which I can live where my kids don't have to experience hard things, sign me up. Yes,
That'd be great.
please. That would
Mhm.
be lovely. And that's not how the world works. And they are going to experience these hard things. And what we're really looking at here is this separation anxiety. We tell this story in the book of this kindergartner where they're leaving their safe person that they feel comfortable and safe with to go into a space where we know they're safe, but their brain and body haven't experienced that yet there.
Yeah.
And we're saying, like, trust us. You're going to be okay here. You're going to be safe here. And they're allowed to say, I'm nervous about that. I don't feel
Yes.
safe yet.
It's interesting because this puts something in perspective that I just dealt with my son when he started school in seventh grade. And my son has a lot of anxiety that we've dealt with through the years, that he's dealing with through the years. And he's very similar to me in that regard. But we went to his new junior high and he picked up his schedule. And then he wanted to walk to every single one of his classes to make sure he knew where they were. And after we walked to every single one of his classes, he wanted to walk back and make sure he got the sequence. And then when he came home, he drew a path on the map to all of his classes. And now, after talking
Beautiful.
with you, Alyssa, yeah, I'm like, oh my gosh, he's just trying to control what he can of the situation and make himself feel safe so that even though he had nerves and we talked about those nerves, he was still anxious about it. Still feeling anxiety about it, still a little nervous about it, but he was able to feel safer because he went through the prep. So,
I was him when I was in middle
yeah.
school. I did the same thing.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
in high
And that's
school.
rad.
Trying to feel safe.
I'll pull you into some nerd facts for a
I love
second. So,
nerds.
what's happening here is that anytime we're doing something new, we're forming what's called a neural pathway. And our
Mhm.
brain is then learning what happens when this happens, what happens there. So think of like you have this new job that's starting on Monday. And the first few times you drive to work, you might even need like Google Maps to get you there, where you're like, wait, which way do I turn? How do I go? And then after you've done it a few times, you're operating from your subconscious. You can do it without thinking about it. In the same way that when I go through my morning routine, I don't have to think like, okay, how do I make the coffee? Where is the cup? my brain can just do that from habit and practice because I have enough reps. I've done it enough times that neural pathway, every time we repeat that same pathway, it's like going to the gym and doing reps on it. It just gets stronger and stronger, and it becomes a part of your subconscious habits and patterns. So as he is walking there, walking back, drawing it, every one of those is a rep for that neural pathway that starts to feel safer and safer and more known.
Mm-hmm. Yes, yes, definitely. And I have to say, his first day of school went off really well. He came home and all the like normal things you expect to happen on a first day, they happened still. The strong emotions still existed, but overall, it was good. So, first point for kids in school, as much prep as you do, the prep is still important, but hard emotions can still happen. They can both be the same at once. Coming up next, we are going to dig down and talk about some situations that may not be as apparent from the outside for you at home. And that's coming up next.
It's almost fall, and you know what that means. Cooler weather, and I immediately want to curl up and light a pumpkin spice candle because that just makes my house super cozy and super fall.
Oh my gosh, yes. I love fall, but I love to like embrace all of the fall like things. And when it's time to embrace the season and make everything cozy, you know I'm looking on Wayfair.
I just got the cutest chunky knit throw from there, and now my bed is Pinterest perfect.
That's what I love. Wayfair's got cozy covered in every room. Whether it's new bedding, kitchen gear, or just a fun fall doormat, they've curated everything. And delivery free, even the big stuff.
So if you want your home to feel as good as your favorite sweater, now's the time to go and get cozy.
Cozify your space with Wayfair's curated collection of easy, affordable fall updates. From comfy recliners to cozy bedding and autumn decor. Find it all for way less at wayfair.com. That's Wayfair, WAYFAIR.com. Wayfair, every style, every home. At Great Wolf Lodge, there's adventure for the whole family. You and your pack can splash away in the indoor water park where it's always 84 degrees. There's a massive wave pool, a lazy river, and tons of water slides for your pack to enjoy together. And the fun doesn't stop there. Get ready to explore and play at adventure-packed attractions from Magi Quest, a live-action game that takes place throughout the lodge, to the Northern Lights Arcade. There's also a bunch of great dining options and complimentary daily events like nightly dance parties, all under one roof. And the best part, with 23 lodges across the country, you're always only a short drive away from adventure. I am so excited to visit Great Wolf Lodge with my nephew who's 6. He cannot wait for the water park. So bring your pack together at a lodge near you. Book your stay today at greatwolf.com and strengthen the pack.
Taking on a DIY job around the house is the ultimate summer project. But if your DIY home security system is a beware of dog sign, when your real pet is Princess the cat, that's safe-ish. To be actually safe, help protect your home with a DIY system from ADT. It's easy to install and gives you virtual assistance from ADT's technical support team. Best of all, you can tell everyone in the neighborhood you set it up yourself. Don't settle for safe-ish this summer. DIY with ADT instead. Visit ADT.com to learn more.
So before the break, we talked about how prepping your kids for school is great, but it doesn't mean that they won't experience hard emotions as well. This next example, Alyssa, really hit home for me because you described a girl who constantly got stomach aches and was constantly sick at school. We have gone through this in my house multiple times. Stomach aches, there's no medical reason for them. Like, we go get them checked out by the doctor. They're totally okay physically. So it turns into this is something else that is happening. And I know a lot of our balance members come with this situation as well. Why are my kids getting stomach aches all the time when there's nothing wrong with them? And your insight on this with the example you gave in the book was so insightful. Tell us about the stomach ache in classroom correlation.
Yeah. This one, we share a story about this little girl named Jada, and she's in first grade and she's got a stomach ache. I have a headache. Like, we're seeing all these physical symptoms, but she's not sick. And at one point, one of her moms goes into the classroom And when she comes in, she notices the environment, the artwork on the walls, the sound of the bell ringing, like all these pieces of stimuli adding up.
Mhm.
And Jada turns and is like, Mom, my head hurts. Can we just go home? And this
Mm.
light bulb went off for Shayna of, oh, she's overstimulated. Actually, her nervous system is feeling so overwhelmed in the environment that she probably is getting a headache. She probably is getting a stomach ache because her nervous system is saying, this is too overwhelming for me to handle. We got to get out of here. Every single movement. So when we're looking at the nervous system, we often hear of our first 5 senses: sight, sound, taste, touch, smell. There are 4 others. We have interoception. This is where we notice those internal cues in our body, like I have to go to the bathroom, I'm hungry, I'm tired, I have a stomach ache, my heart's beating fast. Then we have our vestibular system located in your inner ear. It's responsible for your movement and balance. It keeps you upright. If you're vestibular sensitive, you might get motion sickness easily. If you're vestibular seeking, you might love a swivel chair where you can kind of rotate.
Bree knows that. Yeah.
I have a yoga ball that I sit on a lot during the day.
Yes.
There you go. And then we have our proprioceptive sense. This lets us know where our body is in relationship to other things.
I think I didn't get that when I was born. I run into everything.
I'm you. I have low proprioceptive awareness. And so I'm like, there is not a world in which my body can figure out where my bed frame is in relationship to my leg. Like I always have bruises on the side of my leg.
I always have bruises as well.
Yeah, I cut that cord.
Always. You know where it is too. It's always right there on your upper thigh.
That's right.
And you're like, that's the space that my body has no
The bed
awareness.
frame spot.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So that's your proprioceptive sense. For folks with lower proprioceptive awareness, we often actually need a lot of proprioceptive input. So think like deep pressure, adding weight, heavy work, big jumps, big body play, big movements. It's all going to turn that on for your body to say, here's where your body ends and something else begins.
That is so interesting. So me needing to sit with my legs on the chair. Right now I'm folded right here. I have to move all the time.
Mhm.
So that's a proprioceptive thing.
Yeah, it's giving you proprioceptive input.
Yeah.
And actually, if you put a weighted blanket on your lap, it would probably feel really grounding for you.
I have one upstairs.
I have a weighted vest because perimenopause and all the rage. And I will sometimes just have it on my lap when I'm recording. And then we have our neuroceptive sense. Neuroception is our spidey sense. It lets us know if there's anything that isn't safe. If you've entered into a room and 2 people had been arguing, they'd been in conflict, and they aren't anymore, but you can feel that tension and that energy, that's your neuroceptive sense. Or if I came on and you're like, how are you? And I'm like, I'm fine. You know I'm not fine because of your neuroceptive sense that reads all those nonverbal cues. So when we're looking at these 9 sensory systems, we all filter this information differently. Some humans come in and they notice all the details. They hear the sounds in a heightened way. They can detect smells. They're seeing all the visual stimuli. These are humans we call sensory sensitive because they're sensitive to all that stimuli and it can flood or overwhelm them faster. Then we have humans who are sensory seeking. We have high seekers and kind of neutral seekers. Our high seekers are like, I need all the input, all the movement. We have someone on my team who's a high seeker and she has an essential oil roller in her purse at all times that she can pop on. She listens to music throughout the day when she's working. She's like, give me all the stimuli, right?
Bree's laughing because she feels seen
Oh
now.
my God. I'm not abnormal. I thought that I was just weird. And I want to know where you got your weighted vest. We're going to have a conversation because my weighted blanket is 15 pounds. That's a bit much to bring downstairs from my bedroom. So I want to try a weighted vest. But go on. Go on.
Yes. And so what we're doing is we're taking all of this information and we have a QR code in the book, but also it's seedquiz.com. You can take a questionnaire. You can take as many times as you want. It's totally free for any age kid. There's age specifications, so it gives you specific results to their age. You can take it for yourself. And it'll look at, super rad. We worked with a group of OTs for it. But it'll look at those 9 and say, where are you on the spectrum of sensitive to seeking for these? And understand your nervous system a little bit more, because what was happening with Jada is she's sensory sensitive. So she was noticing all this stimuli and she was getting overwhelmed by it. What we were able to do is just put some things in place that helped her nervous system kind of get a break from stimuli. This can look like having headphones or AirPods where you get to listen to a song instead of the chaos of a transition that's happening in the classroom, or instead of eating lunch in the lunchroom, maybe there's a small group that eats together. It could look like some flexible seating where you have a seat that swivels so you can get that input throughout the day and help regulate your nervous system. Depending on the kid's sensory profile and regulation strategies, it's going to be customized to them, but we guide you through different ways to understand your kid's nervous system and then how to advocate for your kid's sensory needs at school.
I think that's a key right there, isn't it, Joanne? Because like so many of us, unless you've worked in the field of education or special needs, you probably don't necessarily know about the sensory. So
Mhm.
having somebody being able to have such simple tools at their fingertips is so huge because it really takes a big kind of complicated topic and makes it very specific to what you need to work on.
Yeah.
That's right. And you know what, Bree, is so interesting is like in a lot of school districts, it's still seen as like things that are reserved for kids who have an IEP or have a 504 plan who
yeah.
receive special services. And we do the bulk of our work at SEED actually is in school systems. And what we do with our school systems is really shift that cultural lens to everybody has a nervous system.
Everybody has things.
Everybody.
Yeah.
Yes. And so you might have a kid who they hold it together all day at school and then they come home and you get their meltdown. Yes, because they haven't had the sensory support throughout the day. And now you get this whole meltdown. And maybe they couldn't even like pay attention to the lesson. So they don't know how to do the homework. But they don't have an IEP. They don't receive special services. They still have a nervous system.
Yeah, that's a mic drop moment, Alyssa, because so many parents can say that they have experienced that end of school meltdown. And attaching that to a kid's sensory needs were not met during the day, it makes so much sense. So much more sense than the typical advice that's given. Be like, oh, you're a safe space. They feel okay melting down around you. While that may explain the situation a little bit, it really doesn't give parents a path forward on how to help that situation because it's very stressful when you have to deal with that as a parent. So I absolutely love that. So we've talked about first, prep and strong emotions can coexist, as well as being able to advocate for your child's sensory needs. That may be a reason that they're refusing school as well. Coming up next, we're going to talk about that peer issue, and that's right after this. Okay, let's talk about money. Bree, do you know exactly how many financial accounts you have?
I have like 3 401ks. I sure don't. But I hope it's doing what it's supposed to. I just don't have time to figure out where it all is.
Yeah, and that's the thing. When you've got money coming in from all of these multiple places, it's so easy to assume that things are fine. But that's how we leave money on the table.
Yeah, and I got to tell you, Monarch Money has been a game changer to help me with that. It pulls everything. I can connect it to my bank accounts, credit cards, investment accounts, and it turns it all into this really easy to read dashboard.
Yeah, what's really cool is it doesn't just show you the numbers, it tells you what's happening with your money. Like you may discover that you're not saving nearly as much as you thought.
Yep, Monarch gives me that big picture view so nothing slips through the cracks.
So if you're trying to save more, invest smarter, or just stop stressing over money, don't let financial opportunities slip through the cracks. Use code NOGUILT at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with code NOGUILT.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. When your computer breaks, you don't wait for it to magically start working again. You fix the problem. So why wait to hire the people your company desperately needs? Use Indeed's sponsored jobs to hire top talent fast. And even better, you only pay for results. There's no need to wait. Speed up your hiring with a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
How do you top your love for your cat? With a cascade of decadent savory gravy over a mouth-watering mousse pâté. Fancy Feast gems. 2 gourmet pâtés in one convenient pack. Simply peel and plate to reveal a pyramid shape that makes eating delightful and pamper her with an experience as extraordinary as she is. Turn the everyday into the extraordinary with Fancy Feast gems.
So far this episode, we've given you 2 little things to keep in mind when your kid is refusing school. The next reason is something so many of us deal with, and I'm sure that so many of us dealt with it when we were in school as well. It's dealing with our peers and how our peers are reacting to us. But unlike us 80s and 90s children who were told to suck up and deal,
Yeah.
we can actually help our kids learn how to navigate these social situations. In your book, Alyssa, you talk about giving kids this framework for how to classify this rude or mean or bullying behavior and the nuances between each. Can you share a little bit about that?
Totally. So what's really key to this age group that really once we kind of start school and we're in elementary school and beyond, something developmentally happens that's so important for behavior. It's that inclusion and belonging starts to matter in a new way, where they're starting to see, who am I in the world? What is my identity? Who do I like to be around? What are things I'm interested in doing or playing? Do I like this sport? Do I enjoy hanging out with these people? And all of a sudden they're like, wait, mom, I need these shoes. Or I want to do this activity and I want to hang out with these people. And it's really that they are coming into who they are. They're getting to know their own identity. And with this comes a lot of hard feelings and challenge because they're going to be embarrassed and left out and disappointed and so many hard feelings that we would love to save them from.
Mhm.
Yeah. All parents would love to save them from all those hard feelings.
Can I just save
100%.
everything? I just had this conversation with my husband yesterday. I forget what was. Oh, I know. My daughter came home and she had something that had happened that upset her between her and her dad. And I was trying to fix it.
Mm-hmm, sure.
I didn't want anybody to be upset. And my
Sure.
husband's like, it's kind of nice to sometimes let people just have their feelings. And I'm like, oh, yeah,
Mhm.
I guess so.
Nice for who, bud?
There you go.
I 100% get this. I mean, the thing with inclusion and belonging is that what I really want kids to know is that they aren't always going to belong in a certain space or in a certain crew, and to be able to delineate, who do I want to hang out with? What does feel good for me? And to build that skill set, it's messy. There's going to be times where they aren't included. I was just chatting with somebody who their 8-year-old came home and was upset. And of course, the 8-year-old didn't say this at first. It was like rude behavior to the family and like throwing her backpack and stomping down and slamming her door and then opening it and slamming it again. Like, do you see what I'm going through? And eventually got to a place where she was sharing with her mom that her friends were all together in this group doing this TikTok dance together, and she wasn't invited to be a part of this.
Oh,
Yeah. My daughter has come to me about something like this, but it was more because I didn't let her have TikTok when she was younger, because I think the algorithm in TikTok is so pervasive. Like, it's real good.
We talk about that in this book.
Yeah, it's so good. But because of that, she didn't know the trends and she didn't know the TikTok dances. And so she felt excluded that way.
Sure, she didn't feel hip and jiggy with it, as the kids say.
That is exactly what the kids say today, Alyssa.
she wasn't ice, baby.
That's right.
But these like exclusion things are so real and
so real.
like hard for them. I mean, I'm dealing with a text message right now between my daughter who wants to have 5 friends over on a school night. And I'm like, no.
Yeah.
But her perspective of it is, but mom, we've already been planning this and now I'm going to have to tell my friends no and disappoint them. And I can totally see how.
And what if they hang out without me?
Yeah, what if they hang out without me? I don't think they will in this group. But
what if every other parent says yes?
The exclusion piece is real. Something else that I see happen a lot is parents will say that their kids don't want to go to school because one kid is bullying them.
Yeah, let's break down this framework.
Yeah, I saw this as a teacher too, because parents would come in and be like, this kid is bullying. And I'm like, okay, there's a nuance here. Let's break that down.
Yeah, so we have an entire chapter on bullying, but we do go into it here in this chapter a little bit where we bring in Signe Whitson's framework on what's the difference between like rude, mean, bullying, so that we can know it from our perspective as an adult of when do I actually need to step in? And also, what could I do to maybe help my kids start to learn these differences for themselves as well? We go in depth in this on another chapter where we also go into like how can schools respond, what does the data show on practices for schools and all that jazz. So there's a whole section that goes deep, but let's just break down these three right now. Rude behavior is typically kind of unintentional, it's thoughtless, and it could be like a kid goes and they cut in line from somebody else. Mean behavior is more deliberate and hurtful. Could be like name calling or excluding someone. So in the case of like the girls in the TikTok video, if they intentionally excluded this girl from making the TikTok dance together, that would be mean.
Mm-hmm.
If they just didn't think about her, they were all together in a group and she wasn't right there and they started, that would be rude. Like,
Yeah.
she didn't come into my purview. And then bullying is way more intense. It's repeated, it's an intentional act, it's often physical and or verbal or social. The repeated part is really key, that it's happening over and over and over and over. It's
Mhm.
not this one-off, this thing happened.
Mhm.
And it's a term that at this point actually is thrown around so much that it is not being adequately addressed because we're treating everything as bullying behavior.
That's what I was
Yeah.
going to ask because I feel like so much, and this is me totally armchairing it. Do not ask me for my data because I don't have it. I don't have the receipts, but
Do any doing a fact check after?
there might be. I feel like the schools, they've almost become deaf to the term of bullying because so many school districts have the zero tolerance of bullying.
And
That
it's
it
not
makes them-
bullying.
Right? But it puts them in a position. And then you get stuck between the parents being upset that the school isn't doing anything. And sometimes I feel like it makes it so that the school is almost like like they can't do anything. And it really is hard when it's your kid for someone to tell you, no, your child's not being bullied.
From being a teacher in the classroom, I would say that framework, Alyssa, that you just mentioned, I taught fifth graders. Most of fifth graders' behavior is that rude. They're just don't thinking about it.
Correct.
They have no idea. Yeah.
Yes. When we are looking at bullying, there's one thing that's also really key in that it involves an imbalance of power. And so when we think about like, what does that look like? It might look like this person has social power over somebody else. It could look like physical power over them. It's going to show up in a number of different ways. But when we're looking at zero tolerance policies, I think it like sounds effective.
It does. It sounds like it would just nip the problem in the bud.
Instead, what it often does is it leads to unintended consequences like ostracizing both the child labeled as the bully and the victim of the bullying without actually addressing the underlying issue of what's coming up for this person who's doing the bullying and how do we support them with the skills that they need.
Yeah. Because bullying is usually a power struggle. It's
Correct.
The bully feels like they're powerless, and this is how they maintain their power and their position in the school. And the victim is just that. It's a victim. Where I think that these zero tolerance against bullying, it's like punishments. You punish someone thinking that, oh, if I make you feel bad, you won't do it again. But in reality, that doesn't work because no actual learning took place to address the actual issue behind the bullying behavior.
It requires a shift in perspective.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it requires a shift away from this person is bad and just doing a bad thing and we need that behavior to stop to I wonder what's causing that behavior.
So probably for parents who are experiencing their kids not wanting to go to school because of another classmate, what are some action steps that those parents can take?
Yeah. So first, just like really stepping back, giving your kid a space to express if they will express is huge. Being that container for them so that they can share if they're willing to share. And for all kids, this will look different. My daughter is like, oh my gosh, talk to me. And like, let's have this back and forth. And just a million times over, there's not enough talking and touching that could ever happen. And my son is someone who really benefits from like a little talking and then space.
Yep.
And maybe coming back to talk or journaling back and forth.
Mhm.
Or even like having an opportunity to talk where he doesn't have to look at my face, like we're driving in the car or we're playing like a game together, and he's not trying to process my emotions on my face, and he can just express what's coming up for him. So
That's
first,
huge.
yeah.
I
I
get the
love
most out of
those.
my son through texting. When he has really big things, he will text me even though I'm in the house with him. And that's how we
Mhm.
get the most information.
It's a safe way for him to express it and not have to look at your face and see how you feel about it and what's coming up for you. And he can probably formulate his thoughts and not feel like he has to figure it all out auditorily.
Oh, yeah.
First, understanding those nuances and that each kid's going to be different, but giving them that space to express so that they can communicate what they're actually experiencing. Some open ended questions that I love. What really took place here? And having them just share their perspective of like what really took place here. Who was involved? How did it make you feel? I wonder how they were feeling.
That's a good one.
Yeah, them to like think about the other human and what was coming up for them. I had this conversation recently with a 9-year-old, and he was fired up, and this other kid is such a loser and he's so dumb and venting because he didn't feel included.
Mhm.
And as he like vented and expressed his side of things, we got to a place where we're chatting, and I was like, man, I wonder what he was feeling. I am so curious what was going on for him. He was like, he was feeling like a dumb loser. And
Yeah,
I
that's
was like, yeah, you're so mad. And that makes sense. He wasn't kind to you. I know there have been so many times where I've done things that aren't kind. And sometimes it's because I'm feeling nervous that people won't like me. I'm not going to be included, or I'm feeling embarrassed and I don't want them to look at me. So I want them to pay attention to something else. I wonder what he was feeling.
a great question.
He like sat with it and he was like, I think he was feeling left out. And I was like, yeah,
Oh,
that makes sense. And he wanted to be included. And he thought of the only way he knew how to be included. And that meant making fun of you in that moment, which is not kind or fair in that moment. And I wonder how we could help him when he's feeling left out. So he learned something else to do.
that is an amazing conversation to have with kids. So many conversations that looking back at my childhood, like I wish our parents had been equipped to have these conversations because usually it went like I was bullied in middle school and I didn't tell anyone because I felt it would burden my parents in some way instead of
Mm,
looking to them to help me through it. Just like you were talking about, Alyssa, with like unloading through text or something. Seeing them process my pain was like more painful to me than the pain that I had to endure. So
100%.
yeah, and that's the same with our kids too. So giving them these safe ways, giving them these questions where they can really think about, okay, what caused my behavior, but also like to think about what's going on in the other person and develop those skills as well. You've given us so much great information for when kids are refusing to go to school. Both like just to run it down for everybody listening, that intentional prep and hard emotions, they can coexist. Don't give up your prep just because the hard emotions exist. It's useful. The prep is, anyways. The advocating for your child's sensory needs and to figure out how to do that. Also, Alyssa has a QR code you could scan in her book. So go get her book so you could take that test to see like what those sensory needs may be. And then looking at that social issue and helping kids figure out how to handle those complex social situations. Alyssa, this is something that we do at the end of every podcast. What is something that you are excited about that's coming up for you?
We are this school year piloting a system of support for elementary, middle, and high school programs to be able to use that we're piloting with a few schools and hoping to launch in the greater landscape next year for the 2026-2027 school year. And am so stoked to have more of this support and information through our schools that would be able to help teachers, admin, kids, and help families all in one kind of bucket there. If folks are interested in learning more about that, head on over to Seed and Sow, and there's a spot to like join a waitlist to get any updates on it. And if you're interested in bringing this to your child's school, you'll be able to at seedandsow.org let us know, and we'll have you in a little queue so we can gather some information and see if it would be a good fit for your kid's school. I'm all about impact. And if we can do more of this work in schools, if a teacher has these skills to be able to scaffold this, every single year they're seeing new kids. Every single year they get to support more and more kids with this. And so I'm super stoked about that right now.
That sounds really cool.
Yeah, and how great would that be for the teachers to be able to actually have some support besides a pat on the back of, we know you can do it.
Happy Teacher Appreciation Week. Here's some Starbucks.
Here's your gift card. Now stop complaining.
And for
Right?
our special ed side, we work a lot with special educators, and so much of what they're navigating in the special ed world is really behavior challenges
Yeah.
that we don't have enough systems of support for.
Mm-hmm.
And so they get kicked up to a tier 3 in a multi-tiered systems of support. And it is really burdening the system as a whole. We, as a fun fact, real quick, in our pilot of this program last year, so we're doing a 2-year pilot, we just did the very first quarter, Q1 to Q2, we just did sensory supports for all classrooms and some education for the teachers on how to really use this in practice. And we saw a 60% reduction in behavior support calls from Q1 to Q2.
That's amazing. That is amazing. Well, Alyssa,
Very
you
fun.
are doing such fantastic work. And I'm so excited that we got to chat. And I definitely want to keep in touch.
And everybody needs to run out and grab your book because it's going to be so helpful. Big kids, bigger feelings.
Yep, available today. And with that, remember, the best mom is a happy mom. Take care of you. We'll talk to you later.
Thanks for stopping by.
If you'd like to support the show further, you can share episodes with your loved ones, leave a positive review, or follow us on social media at No Guilt Mom. You can also show your love by visiting our amazing podcast sponsors. We have a link in the show notes.
Listen. That's the sound of the fully electric Audi Q6 e-tron. The sound of captivating electric performance, dynamic drive, and the quiet confidence of ultra-smooth handling. The elevated interior reminds you this is more than an EV. This is electric performance redefined. The fully electric Audi Q6 e-tron.